Since we came into force, I think that was in early August, because we had our orientation on 7th and 8th of August. We've done a few things, making sure the clusters are up and running through the cluster leadership committees, making sure that the formalization of NECDA is going on. We have met a few donors during that time, among other things. But just to highlight maybe 3-4 things. Number one, I'll start the structures, the governance structures I've already talked about. We have instituted a routine for meetings for the clusters. We have monthly meetings. We've agreed to have monthly meetings. And I think that some of you have been able to take part in these meetings. We've only had one cluster that really hasn't met, and that's the health and nutrition cluster. We also have monthly National Steering Committee meetings, as well as monthly, like the formal monthly Executive Committee meetings, but I can assure you that no week goes by without the Executive Committee meeting over something. So, like I said, we are the current staff, so there are things that keep coming up, but formalized is a monthly catch-up. We've had a few meetings with donors. Between August and now, we've managed to meet Hilton Foundation as the Executive Committee, who are very interested in the business of NECDA. We also met with Echidna Giving recently. These were the words that the regional contact person said to us. We are just waiting. Get that strategy off the ground. We are just waiting for the strategic plan, and the rest you leave to us. So we thank God for such opportunities. There are not many donors that give you that kind of assurance. So we have a real champion, a real ally in Echidna Giving and in Hilton Foundation. We have a meeting coming up with Elma Philanthropies, and they too, from the back-end conversations, I am made to understand that even though they are closing down mainstream funding to other agencies, they are maintaining only 2 partners come 2026, and that's government and NECDA. So we are in real business. These are opportunities that we cannot downplay, but I also know that the people in these institutions don't just give for, as the young people say. They see the seriousness and the intentions and aspirations of the network and are able to commit to those kinds of conversations in as far as funding, especially now that the funding space is narrowing, is concerned.
On behalf of government, I want to appreciate our line departments, my colleague Rogers from the Ministry of Gender, the colleagues from Ministry of Education, and other line departments that work with the technical leads for this work. Thank you very much for the collaboration, and we are very hopeful that when we have the advocates, the pushers of this work, which we lead, it would greatly contribute to our shared success as a country. I want again to bring commitment and support from the Ministry of Health, particularly from the maternal and child health space, which I work with at the Ministry of Health, and all our partners. I'm happy we have UPA represented. UPA is Uganda Pediatric Association. They are our experts for child health and development from the health perspective, and all other players and all our other partners who work with us to see that they are part of this movement, they are part of this drive, and overall to see that we have the child survive but also thrive.
The issue of equity, inclusion, and gender responsiveness is key. The issue of child rights and safeguarding is key. Another guiding principle is that of transparency, iterative feedback. Now, The quality of strategic plan you're going to have will depend on how much you participate. You may not expect much from me alone. And it will have to be evidence-based planning. And this one, already we have the clusters to provide this.
As a research and academia cluster, what has come out from the word go is that we cannot be a standalone cluster, but our work is going to be entirely dependent on research interests of the different clusters. And as a cluster, we've positioned ourselves in such a way that we are able to come out and be able to support the different research ideas of the different research clusters, the different clusters. And so that is one of the reasons as to why we are driven to see that next year we have an academia and research conference for NECDA, in which we think that the different clusters will be able to come and speak about their research agendas, what they are doing, and we're hoping that we can be able to put that work together into a published book.
We were constituted well with the ECC Cluster Steering Committee. We were inaugurated on the 11th of September. And then these are things that we registered on that day. On that day, we filled in the positions. So we have a fully-fledged committee. We presented our terms of reference to the meeting, and they were approved. We presented our work plan and budget on that day, and they were all approved for adoption. And we've been in the journey of fundraising. We reached out to different organizations, and as Chair mentioned, Chambo volunteered to support our activities as well as plan. We also, as individual organizations, committed to support the cluster activities.
By 10th October, we had now finalized our terms of reference, which is a guide to the parenting cluster. And it clearly spelled out the objectives and how we feed into the NECDA constitution, but also aware that the strategic planning process that will lead to the development of the strategic plan has started, and so we look forward to really providing as much input as possible to ensure that all aspects, the parenting agenda is clearly spelled out within the strategic plan of NECDA. And so we did finalize the terms of reference for parenting cluster, and we finalized the governance structure of the parenting cluster. But allow me also mention that within that period, I think we had one of the members who was my deputy opted out, and so we are in the process of finalizing to ensure that we get the vice chair of the parenting cluster. And I know, Stella, parenting is influential. We cut across. You cannot talk about early learning without a parent. You cannot talk about nutrition without the role of a parent. You cannot talk about child protection without a parent. And actually, all of you are part of the parenting.
Talking into what we have achieved as a cluster for this period, well, we have a constituted team, I've already said that, and they are functional and heavily working. But also we have a cluster TOR that was reviewed in a participatory way and adopted by the members. So we have a working plan that we are following. I should mention that our work plan runs up to December, and we adopted a 3-month work plan because we are cognizant that when we have a new strategy, we will have to redesign afresh. So for this period, we decided that 1, as a cluster, will continue raising awareness about Nectar. And then two, on top of raising awareness of what Nectar does in our agencies, we are also recruiting new members. So we have not stopped recruiting members. We have presented the membership guidance offered. It will provide a framework for how we bring on board our members. But the cluster agreed to continue the mobilization of new members to the cluster.
Health and nutrition, we are mainly looking at members of the RAMNAC CSO platform. And the RAMNAC CSO platform has always been an already constituted network of health-focused organizations. And the RAMNAC CSO platform has 17 steering committee members. And when you look at RAMNAC, we look at the whole continuum of care, as I mentioned earlier. And here you look at reproductive health, maternal health, newborn health, child health, adolescence health, aging and nutrition. But we also have other cross-cutting areas. We have disability, we have HIV, we have gender-based violence. Those are some of the cross-cutting areas of RAMNAC.
We were able to identify a consultant or a team that is going to lead us through the process of developing NECDA's first 5-year strategic plan. We will have, yes, clap. So we will have a conversation around that in the course of today. The reason I'm talking about the strategy is that it's not just a compass that gives us direction as a network, it's also our biggest fundraising tool. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you in your institutional capacities to make sure that you give input into the strategy. 2-3 things we want to achieve with this strategic development process. Number one, we want to ensure that it is highly participatory, so you have a slot to give your input, because it's your thing. It's at the end of the day, we should be able to own it.
Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to extend deep appreciation to the committee, the interim committee, for the exemplary leadership you have demonstrated in guiding the establishment of this network. Your dedication has been instrumental in bringing us to this important moment. But I also wish to warmly welcome the incoming leadership team. You assume this responsibility at a time when Uganda is intensifying efforts to strengthen child care systems, to improve early learning environments, and to reinforce multisectoral collaboration across the ECD landscape. The journey ahead is demanding, but your leadership will be critical in ensuring that our diverse actors move forward with coherence, with purpose, and a shared ambition. On behalf of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, I reaffirm our full commitment to support and walk this journey with you. We consider this network a strategic ally in our mission to ensure that all young children in Uganda survive, thrive, and reach their full development potential.